Hello, my name is Lonzo Caves, and I am presenting an executive summary of Chapter 4, Designing the Lateral Organizations. I currently work as a secondary principal at Faith Christian Academy, and we have designed formal groups that can meet the needs of our organizations with the head administrator serving as the primary leader role. He has placed several people around campus in charge of different groups, and we actually serve several different types of groups also, and I'll explain that as we get into it. But organizations that have single business strategies apply lateral designs to ensure formal groups can function properly. The purpose of formal lateral processes is for the leader to be more directly involved in the creation, staffing, funding, and setting of goals. And FCA has formal groups that vary from simple group structures to complex group structures, in addition to several teams being considered E-teams based on their um, cooperation with each other through Google Docs or our RenWeb learning management system and other devices. But in order to attain functional excellence, our goal is to integrate key staff into roles that will help us implement our strategy. That key staff can range from teachers to our custodial staff and how they service the organization, but also to administrators. And then we've got that relationship that ties into payroll and our church ministry as well. Designing formal groups. All groups, no matter what type, are subject to the same design. There are many different components that will typically stay the same, but you have bases. A primary base is chosen for structure, and depending on the strategy, the other bases will be prioritized by the organization designer. Our primary base for our overall organization is a traditional private Christian school. Within that, we have many different departments. We also have our English, our science, our history, performing arts, and several electives, among others. And we have our typical, management teams, our HR department, our finance department, our payroll department, organizations that work, groups that work together, but that also have the same goal in mind. Our charter, each group has a particular focus in mind, but the group's charter is to be defined by management and should reflect the hierarchical structure of the organization. Staffing in schools, faculty groups should be cross-curricular with representation from each subject area and have a purpose in line with the charter and school mission statement. Those are the groups that we have that have to do with teaching and curriculum design. However, we also have groups that will meet and decide on policies. They will help out with handbook descriptions. They will also help out with deciding our classroom sizes, classroom formats, and our scheduling. Conflicts. Conflict management skills is a necessity for groups to remain effective. Our faculty engages each other to intentionally view others' perspectives. Our teachers know how important it is to see things from the other side so that we can be more productive. Rewards are utilized to increase performance in regular job duties and formal groups. And the leader role, the group leader creates meeting agendas and guides the actions of the groups. They should also be well versed in conflict management to ensure the groups work together. A good example of this in our organization is that each week as a department meets, I have the department head create an agenda and provide me with the meeting notes at the end of this meeting. And also when I have my professional learning teams decide on a course of action for a policy or a program that I have them working on, they provide me with the feedback as well. And then that leader is also the one who will make the ultimate decision after meeting with me to see if there's a course of action we are going to take as a school. Formal groups. There are two primary types of groups. You have the simple group structures and complex group structures. The designer tries to create an end-to-end task so that the team has a complete piece of work. In this manner, the team controls most of the factors that influence its performance outcomes. Professional learning teams at FCA are given objectives that relate to policies, handbook, and curriculum mapping. They meet on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis. Anything from a bully action team to our schedule creation team for the following school year, to our events planning team, and then also our student resource team that we have. Those are all organizations that have to work together, but also have their own individual tasks and goals. Complex group structures, um, you have three main reasons. One is the complexity of the task being managed. For example, middle school and high school English departments, middle school has different objectives and outcomes than our high schools will be with their curriculum. They have to work together, but they also have to work separate to make sure that they are meeting their standards. The number of people participating in the team. It's difficult to have one large high school team, one large middle school team, and one large elementary and preschool team. And so within each of those groups, we break those down into smaller groups, so that they can work together, but also that they can accomplish um, more meaningful goals and tasks. Business has multiple dimensions, is the third component. Communication between our church and our school for shared facility use. We have our school that uses it really during all the school day hours, and our church that uses it in the evening hours. However, there are a lot of crossovers, and we have groups that do crossover. For example, we have one payroll department for our church and our school. We have one kitchen staff for our church and our school that has to cooperate with everybody across the entire organization. A spectrum of design is the size of the team must be large enough to work cohesively without conflict and small enough to accomplish each of their tasks. Um, the teams that are too large, they can't always reach their goals. And if a team is too small, focused on just their goals, they won't be able to really affect change in the organization. The coordination of teams. We have almost on an everyday basis, everybody in our school or from K through 12 uses Google Sheets or Google documents to work on different objectives together, work on different deliverables, whether it might be their lesson plans or it will be their curriculum design. But that way, they don't always have to meet face to face, but can meet virtually. And then integrating roles and creating full time leaders. Flexible leadership is costly. Um, First cost is investing in staff. And the second cost is dealing with conflict. When you're investing in staff, you've got to um, invest in your secretaries and your admin assistants to manage the day to day. You've got to invest in your teachers to be able to teach and design their curriculum accordingly. And you've got to hope that they can do that. And then dealing with the second cost, which is dealing with conflict. As the principal, I have to manage relationships from parents to teachers, students to teachers, students to students, parents to other parents. These are all different conflicts that I may have to manage among many others. But also teachers have to manage the same thing, and then I've got to manage the teacher to teacher conflicts. For example, this teacher wants to teach this class next year. However, this teacher's teaching it, and there's a rift between them that I've got to meet with him and decide how I need to proceed. The design of integrating roles. You have the structure of the role, which many variations, but ideal for the integrator to report directly to the GM. Staffing choice, hiring the right people capable of implementing the strategy. The status of the role, statuses can be bolstered by increasing the rank. And then lastly, information systems. What do you use to communicate um, and compile data? With our overall structure, um, each of the groups that I have, they will respond and they will report directly to me, who then I report directly to the head administrator, my boss. We staff people as a team. The principals get together with the administration and several teachers when it comes to hiring. So there's that group of people that decide who's going to be in the group, but also who's going to be inside of a formal group. Not so much hiring the right people, but also placing the right people in the groups. The status of the role of the leader, you've got to sometimes give somebody a title for people to see them as the leader that we're expecting them to be. And we actually use a learning management system called RenWeb to manage and filter all of our data so that our parents and our faculty can be on the same page. There's also the planning process for roles, focusing the efforts of different perspectives to create solutions. And the reward system is rewarding teams for achieving multidimensional goals. When we have a goal set for student learning, based on our standardized test scores, how do we reward? How do we reward the teachers for meeting their goals? Or when I have a bully action team that needs to develop a presentation and give to the students, what do I do for them once they're finished with that presentation and they put an entire policy together? The budget authority, giving control of the budget to the proper roles. If they're in a capacity where they've got to manage something, what kind of authority am I giving them to purchase things, or am I telling them to do something without giving them the proper resources that they need? And dual authority is when you have people that have to report to multiple bosses. For example, my teachers, they report to me, but also they need to report to their, to my boss, which is the head administrator. And we actually have teachers that have a dual role of teaching in elementary and they teach in the high school classes. They're more of elective teachers and they need to answer to the elementary principal, but they also answer to the secondary principal, which is myself. Leadership for formal groups is decided based on the priority of the strategy and the difficulty of the strategy being implemented. So, being very wise on the decisions to bring certain people into leadership, making sure that they are capable of handling the job presented in front of them. And in conclusion, the formal lateral process is designed to allow for a smooth workflow of information, product management, and the design of working teams. Design teams are created to be productive, thus, incentives and rewards, and also to be flexible in their ability to work in multi dimensions of the organization. And resolving conflicts is a key component of simple and complex groups. Communication is integral in resolving conflicts and maintaining healthy working relationships. At our organization, we really pride ourselves on our communication with our staff and our teachers. When there are conflicts, how do we resolve those? I do my best to resolve them as quickly as possible between parents and teachers and students and teachers. And it's being willing to offer rewards and incentives and being flexible to assist my teachers in being successful. I really hope that this was good for you. All of my references are directly out of the text Designing Organizations by Jay Galbraith. Thank you, and I pray that you have enjoyed this and that you have a good day. God bless you.